MindSnacks, the podcast. 180 ways to see your world differently. Where science, psychology, and spirit stop arguing and start agreeing. No lectures, no preaching. Just one small idea at a time and the space to make it your own. Press play and let's see it differently.
So imagine holding this really beautiful, fragile flower in the palm of your hand.
Okay.
Your very first instinct, because you love it, is to close your fist around it, right? So you don't drop it.
Right. You want to keep it safe.
Exactly. You want to keep it yours. But, I mean, the tighter you grip it, the faster you crush it.
Yeah, that's such a classic human trap.
It really is. And, well, that kind of marks a major turning point for us today. You know, we've spent our last few conversations, episodes 2, 3, and 4, looking entirely inward.
We really had to build that foundation first.
Right. Exploring our own agency, understanding how perception shapes reality. We learned how to sit in the architect's chair of our own minds. We did the inner work.
It's the essential preparation.
Yeah.
You simply have to establish that internal architecture before you can sustainably build anything else. Because, once that internal stability is in place, it fundamentally alters the way we relate to the rest of the world.
Which brings us to our new direction. Today, in episode 5, we are stepping outward.
Into the space between us and other people.
Yes. This conversation is entirely about love, but not the Hollywood version. Not the kind of love that grips and clings and consumes until there's just nothing left.
We're looking at a love that frees.
Exactly. And frankly, considering the ideas we're going through today, it's a deeply tender shift in perspective.
It really is. I mean, it
Sure.
requires us to unlearn almost everything we've been taught about romance and connection. Let the pace just soften a bit here.
Yeah, let's walk through this carefully. We're going to start with MindSnacks number 22, which is titled Self-Love First. And the doorway into this idea is this really famous quote from the Roman Stoic philosopher Seneca.
Oh, I love this one.
He wrote, "He who knows how to love himself will never be alone." Now, I have to pause here and push back a little on behalf of anyone listening.
Go for it.
Isn't self-love first just, I don't know, a polite modern wrapper for being selfish? Like, if you're in a relationship, aren't you supposed to put the other person first? Prioritizing yourself just sounds, well, it sounds self-centered.
That is the most common suspicion, and it's completely understandable. We are so conditioned to think of love as a zero-sum game,
Right.
as if you only have this, finite bucket of care, and if you give a scoop to yourself, you're somehow depriving your partner.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's actually the exact opposite. Think about what happens when self-love is missing. Without it, love curdles into this exhausting, frantic pursuit. We start seeking from other people the foundational emotional bond that we couldn't build with ourselves.
Wow. So we basically outsource our self-worth to someone else.
Spot on. We hand them the remote control to our nervous system.
That's terrifying, actually.
It is. And when we do that, we make a tragic error. We mistake attention for affection. We mistake someone validating us for actual safety. And, puts a massive unfair burden on the people we care about to constantly fill a void they didn't create.
Right, because they can't ever fill it.
Exactly. There's a line in the book that cuts right to the heart of this. It says, "No love feels complete until it begins with us and grows through conscious presence rather than hunger."
Rather than hunger. I mean, that is such a visceral image.
Yeah, it really paints a picture.
Because think about when you go to the grocery store starving. You don't make good choices.
No, you grab whatever's in the closest aisle.
Right. You just grab whatever's in front of you. When you approach a relationship out of emotional hunger, you aren't really seeing the other person. You're just consuming them to survive the day.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. When you aren't starving, you can actually appreciate the meal. When love starts within, relationships become these places of shared care, not silent dependence.
That makes so much sense.
And if we look at the science, this aligns seamlessly with Dr. Brené Brown's research on vulnerability. Her data shows that people who experience the deepest, most resilient love share one defining trait.
Which is?
They fundamentally believe they are worthy of it. They have self-acceptance.
Oh, right. So they don't hustle for their worthiness. They don't view love as a transaction where they have to, perform perfectly to earn a scrap of affection.
Exactly. And this isn't just modern sociology, by the way. This is ancient technology. Consider the Buddhist practice of metta.
The loving kindness meditation.
Yeah, exactly. It's this 2,500-year-old practice where you deliberately extend warmth and goodwill. But the sequence of the meditation is the entire point.
I've actually tried Meta, and honestly, it is incredibly frustrating at first.
Right. Because of who you have to start with.
Yes, you are instructed to extend that loving kindness to yourself first. Before you can think about your partner or your family, you have to direct that warmth inward.
And why is that so frustrating?
Hmm.
Because we aren't used to it. But the monks understood the mechanism. You cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, that's so true.
Only after you've established that warmth internally, only after you've proved to your own brain that you are worthy of care due, you extend it outward. The ancient wisdom understood what modern psychology is confirming. The love we offer others simply mirrors the love we hold within.
But, okay, if self-love cures that hunger we're talking about, it definitely changes the dynamic of how we connect.
Absolutely.
So how do we express this fuller, healthier love when we actually bridge the gap to someone else? Like, honestly, how do you tell the difference between really loving someone and just being wildly infatuated with them?
That is the pivotal question. And it leads us directly into MindSnacks number 71, which is fading spark, lasting flame.
Oh, I love this one.
There's this beautiful quote from the mystic Osho used here. He said, "If you love a flower, don't pick it up. Because if you pick it up, it dies, and it ceases to be what you love. So if you love a flower, let it be. Love is not about possession. Love is about appreciation."
It's so counterintuitive, though. We are deeply, deeply conditioned to want to possess the things we find beautiful.
Oh, for sure.
Like if we see a beautiful flower, we want it in a vase on our kitchen table.
We do. And that desire to possess, that thrill of the chase, is the hallmark of liking someone, or infatuation. Liking thrives on novelty. It reaches for immediate pleasure in the moment. It's that initial spark that feels totally consuming right up until your curiosity fades.
But if love isn't that frantic spark, what does it actually look like in practice?
Love moves slower. It gives without keeping a ledger. And most importantly, it endures through chaos. The book sums this up with a really quiet power. It says, at its core, love is never declared. It is demonstrated, revealed through repeated small, consistent acts that speak louder than any promise.
It's the small, consistent acts. It's, making the coffee on a Tuesday morning, not the grand cinematic gesture in the pouring rain.
Exactly.
And there is some fascinating hard science behind why that slow burn is so crucial. Helen Fisher, the biological anthropologist, she actually put people in fMRI scanners to study how human bonding works.
Yes, her work is incredible.
She found that what we loosely call love in English is not one thing at all. It's actually 3 distinct brain systems.
3 completely different neurological events playing out in the brain.
Right. First, you have lust, which is driven by hormones like testosterone and estrogen. It's just basic reproduction. Then you have romantic attraction, which is driven by dopamine.
And that's the intoxicating part.
Yeah, and this is the wild part. Romantic attraction operates on the exact same neurochemistry as addiction. That dopamine rush explains the frantic hunger we talked about earlier. You are literally craving the other person.
Wow.
But the third system is deep attachment, and that is driven by entirely different chemicals, oxytocin and vasopressin.
The shift from dopamine to oxytocin is everything. Dopamine is exhausting. Your nervous system physically cannot sustain a romantic addiction for 20 years.
No, you would burn out completely.
You'd be wrecked. But oxytocin, which is released during touch, eye contact, and moments of trust, it lowers your defensive barriers. It literally changes the architecture of the brain's fear center. It builds a felt, physical sense of safety.
Which is why English feels so incredibly inadequate sometimes. We are using one 4-letter word to describe 3 entirely different biological realities.
Yeah, we really are.
The ancient Greeks actually had this figured out way before the fMRI machine. They didn't use one word, they had 7.
Right, they had arrows for that passionate dopamine rush.
Philia for deep, enduring friendship. Agape for unconditional, expansive love.
And philosia for self-love. They mapped the entire territory. And today, modern neuroscience gives us models to explain exactly how this safety takes root in the body. If you look at polyvagal theory, it maps our nervous system's response to the world around us.
I love polyvagal theory, but it can get pretty dense.
It can, yeah.
I always try to think of the nervous system like a home security system. When you are stressed or in danger, the alarm is armed, the motion sensors are on, you are actively looking for threats.
That is a fantastic metaphor. That armed state is your sympathetic nervous system. You are ready to fight or flee. And you simply cannot bond with another human being when your internal alarm is blaring.
Right.
Polyvagal theory identifies a specific mode called the ventral vagal state. This is what happens when the security system is fully disarmed, the doors are unlocked, the windows are open.
It's at the social engagement mode?
Yes, And this mode only activates when our bodies feel inherently biologically safe with another person. When you are in that ventral vagal state, your heart rate slows down, the muscles in your face physically soften, your vocal tone changes. Real connection happens here.
It's physical.
Completely. Love isn't just a feeling. Biologically speaking, love is what happens when two nervous systems decide it is safe enough to rest together.
Safe enough to rest together. I want listeners to just, hold on to that thought for a second. But there is a massive biological cost here that we really have to address.
Okay, what's that?
Your nervous system cannot stay in that relaxed ventral vagal state. The security system cannot stay disarmed if you are constantly exhausted. You cannot demonstrate love through those small, consistent acts if you are entirely depleted, which forces us to look at the protection of the flame.
It requires boundaries.
Yes, and this is where things get really uncomfortable for a lot of people. In MindSnacks number 119, The Quiet. Yes, there's a brilliant quote from the Brazilian novelist Paulo Coelho.
I know the exact one you're going to say.
He says, when you say yes to others, make sure you are not saying no to yourself.
It is so easy to read that quote and nod along, but putting it into practice is incredibly difficult.
It is, because saying no to people feels unkind. Like, if you're listening to this on your commute right now, think about the last time you said yes to a favor or an event when every single fiber of your being was screaming no.
We've all been there.
I'll admit my own failure here. Early in a past relationship, I thought being a supportive partner meant saying yes to attending every single extended family gathering every weekend.
Oh, wow. Every weekend.
Yeah. I thought I was being selfless. But what actually happened was I ended up sitting in the corner of these parties, physically present but completely exhausted, quietly resenting everyone in the room.
Your nervous system was in total lockdown.
Exactly. The alarm was blaring. How is setting a boundary like saying no to those events actually a form of love?
Because of exactly what you just described. We treat no as if it's a dangerous word, like a weapon that will destroy a relationship. But without boundaries, we spread ourselves so thin that exhaustion completely overrides our capacity for joy. A clear no protects your peace. It keeps your security system from short-circuiting. And surprisingly, it is a profound act of love toward the other person.
Because you're giving them honesty instead of, fake enthusiasm.
Exactly. You are showing them where you truly stand, rather than quietly building a mountain of resentment in the corner of a party. You cannot build genuine attachment on top of resentment. The book captures this perfectly.
What does it say?
It says, every no carries a deeper yes. It is a yes to balance, clarity, freedom, and a life that reflects our real priorities instead of constant pressure from outside demands.
If you never say no, your yes is utterly meaningless. It's just a default setting at that point.
Precisely.
And the scientific mechanism backing this up is staggering. Just look at Dr. John Gottman's famous Love Lab at the University of Washington.
Oh, the Love Lab is legendary.
Right. He and his team spent 4 decades recording couples in a research apartment, measuring their heart rates, their sweat, their microexpressions. And Gottman found he could predict divorce with over 90% accuracy just by watching a couple argue for 15 minutes.
Which sounds like magic, but they were tracking very specific behaviors.
They were looking for the 4 horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. These are the toxic, threat-based behaviors that emerge when boundaries don't exist and resentment has taken over the nervous system.
Right, the alarm system is armed.
But Gottman also found the antidote. Stable, loving relationships maintain a very specific ratio during conflict.
The 5-to-1 ratio.
Exactly. 5 positive interactions to every 1 negative interaction. And here is why that ratio matters biologically. Negative interactions trigger an acute cortisol response in your brain. It's a literal chemical threat.
Yeah, stress hormones just flooding the system.
Exactly. It takes 5 positive interactions, 5 small hits of oxytocin, like a shared joke, a touch on the arm, a moment of empathy, to flush that cortisol out of your bloodstream and return your body to baseline.
And you cannot maintain a 5-to-1 ratio of positive interactions if you are depleted from people-pleasing. You simply don't have the internal resources to offer 5 hits of kindness when your own tank is completely empty.
No, you're running on fumes.
Boundaries are the walls that protect that ratio. They are the perimeter that allows you to safely keep your internal security system disarmed.
So we have self-love first to cure the hunger. We have the slow, consistent acts of oxytocin-driven attachment to keep the flame alive. And we have the quiet yes of boundaries to protect our peace.
That's the framework.
Let's pull all of this together into the core theme of today. Because if I play devil's advocate for a moment,
This do?
a lot of poetry and music tells us that real love means holding on tightly, that you fight for it, you cling to it, isn't wanting space or setting boundaries or just being content alone, a sign that you care a little less.
That is the ultimate illusion of romanticism. We confuse gripping tightly with loving deeply. Let's bring it all back to Osho's analogy of the flower. If you love the flower and your instinct is to possess it, you pick it. But the moment you pick it, you sever it from its roots. You kill the very thing you loved just so you could hold it.
The act of gripping destroys it.
Always. The freedom we are exploring today is not about maintaining emotional distance. It is not about being aloof. It is about loving without gripping. And this brings everything full circle to the inner work we discussed in episodes 2, 3, and 4.
Doing the inner work first.
Yes, taking the architect's chair of your own mind is what makes this kind of love possible. When you are fundamentally whole on your own, you don't need to clutch at someone else to keep yourself from falling over.
Because you weren't starving. You weren't reaching for them out of panic or hunger. You are reaching for them out of genuine appreciation.
It creates a love that holds without clutching, which frees both people to remain entirely themselves.
When you step back and look at the landscape of what we've covered today, it is an absolute marvel. It's a grand convergence. Picture all of these different voices walking into the exact same room.
Okay.
You have a Sufi poet writing about how love cracks the ego open. You have a Stoic Roman philosopher from antiquity telling us that self-love prevents loneliness. You have a modern Brazilian novelist explaining the vital price of saying yes. You have the ancient text of the Bhagavad Gita, which teaches the practice of loving fully without grasping at the outcome.
Which is the flower analogy just thousands of years earlier.
Yes. You have Buddhist monks teaching loving kindness, meditation. You have a biological anthropologist mapping 3 distinct brain systems, and polyvagal theory mapping the nervous system's need for safety.
All in one room.
And on top of it all, you have the Harvard study of adult development. This 85-year study tracking the exact same group of men, proving that it wasn't cholesterol levels or wealth that predicted their health at age 80, it was how satisfied they were in their relationships at age 50. All of these different voices from across centuries and disciplines walked into the same room, and they all left holding the exact same flower, gently, without picking it. 2.5 millennia of human reflection and the most cutting-edge science of today point to the exact same truth. The love that lasts is not the love that grips.
It's breathtaking when you see it laid out like that. Different vocabularies, entirely different eras, all mapping the exact same human truth.
And for anyone listening, remember that the 3 concepts we explored today are just a starting point. There are 177 more seeds waiting in the pages of MindSnacks for you to discover.
The outward journey is really just beginning.
Sit with this for a moment. Think of one relationship in your life, not necessarily a difficult one, just an important one. And ask yourself honestly, is the love I'm offering here coming from a place of fullness or from a place of need? Am I holding this person or holding on to them? And if I were to say one quiet yes to myself this week, one small boundary, one small act of self-respect, how might that change the love I have to offer everyone else?
MindSnacks, the podcast. If something's shifted the way you see things today, follow along. There's a new idea waiting in every episode. We'll see you in the next one.